theme of these videos is Inspector Gadget, and this is really important that you know this. I don't mean this Inspector Gadget. No. This is a terrible movie, and I apologize in advance if you have seen it. What I'm talking about is the classic original series called Inspector Gadget. I encourage you to look that up on Google. He's very funny, and I enjoyed this cartoon quite a bit when I was a child over 500 years ago. Now, the first thing I want you to know is that our title is 2-6 Planning a Proof. You can set up your notes like this, and please reserve 12 lines at the very bottom for the last video. You'll be looking at the ingredients for a proof and how to successfully write a proof, and that will go in this top section. The ingredients for a proof are the components that you should see in every proof. And you kind of already know all these things. We've already seen quite a few proofs. So every proof has given statements. Sometimes there's more than one given statement. So we're going to go ahead and say given statements. That's one thing it has to have. Another thing it should have is a statement. Wow, statement of something to prove. So they're asking you to prove something. Next, let me make this a little bit bigger. Here we go. The next thing that you should see as an ingredient for a proof is usually a diagram. Now this isn't always true, there isn't always a diagram, but usually there is. And the last thing you should have is a series of statements and reasons that lead from the given information to what you want to prove. Now I want you to notice I didn't say anything about a two-column proof here. I just said that there should be a series of statements and reasons that take you from the given information to the proof. Now there are two ways you can go here. One way is you can have a paragraph proof. All right, paragraph proof just means you're organizing your statements and reasons in a paragraph. The other option we have is the one that we use quite a bit in this in our textbook is a two-column proof. And that's more like a list rather than a paragraph. But I want you to know that these two things contain exactly the same things. The only difference is this is written as a paragraph and this is written as a list. Okay? The last thing that you're going to be taking notes on today is a recipe for successfully writing a proof. And before you think of this as a step-by-step, because it's not a do this first, then do this, and then you'll always be able to write a proof. This is more like advice, okay? 4 bits of advice that are going to help you become more successful at writing a proof. So what I'd like you to do is copy down these 4 bits of advice, and then try to fill in the words that are missing. Pause the video, and then when you're ready, unpause, and we'll see how you did. Okay, let's read through these one by one. Number 1, look at the given information and label the diagram with that information. That's the first advice I give you. Always look at the given information and label that diagram. Number 2, I want you to read what you need to prove, and then this is important. You need to ask yourself what would have to be true, not puzzle, what would have to be true for the proof to be true? So in order, what steps or what would you need to show in order to say that this is true? Now this third one's really important. Nothing is obvious in geometry. And this is what really bothers a lot of students. Previously in math, it's a lot of finding the answer. And in most cases, there really is a limited amount of ways to get to the answer. In geometry, it is a puzzle. It's almost always a puzzle. And that's what I say here. Expect a puzzle. And be prepared to try different strategies and approaches to find that answer. So I don't want you to get stuck on that it's not obvious, because it isn't obvious. You're going to have to find your path there, and it may mean going down one road and having to find your way back and start again. Last but not least, I want you to be, and this is important, I'm not asking you to memorize, I'm asking you to be familiar with your definitions, postulates, and theorems. Okay, actually, let me make this a little bit smaller. And theorems. This is important. I'm not asking you to be a human Google here for geometry, but you should know the general idea behind most definitions, theorems, and postulates. If on a test or a quiz or in your homework you kind of write around a theorem, you almost say it, that's fine. You don't have to memorize a theorem word for word. But if you know the general idea of a theorem, that is perfectly fine. So please keep that in mind. I'm asking you to be familiar, not to memorize.